That's so dumb. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. That's dumber than the writing for the Acolyte.
Welcome to the Weekly Fix podcast, where we're just two friends talking about our passions within movies, TV shows, gaming, and comics. Thanks for checking out the podcast. We hope you like it. Welcome. You're tuning into a very special Weekly Fix episode. Unfortunately, as you all know, Jacob has been very busy and he is not available for today. So you'll be stuck for the next hour with myself with a monologue about the Acolyte and just how good it was. Obviously, that's a joke. I wouldn't put any of you through that. That would be awful. So instead, we have been talking about our guest, Peyton, that's coming on. Peyton Hale is joining us today, our first outside Weekly Fix guest, and we are very excited to have him on the podcast today. He is from Florida. He is a Star Wars fanatic, and we're going to be putting him through the ringer just to kind of get his Star Wars, I guess, persona put to script real quick, just so you know some of his expertise, some of his love of the show, and then everything that goes on behind the scenes there. So, Peyton, it's so good to have you on. I'm sorry for Jacob. Jacob did say his regrets because of how busy he is, but we are very glad to have you on the show. What's your current thoughts?
Oh, dude, super glad to be here. No worries to Jacob. Life happens, you know. First of all, I want to address that it's Hale. I thought we were better friends than that, but you can say Hall if you want. But yeah, let's delve into some Star Wars, my friend.
All right, Peyton Hale. That's awesome. Yes. My apologies. I can't believe big time mess up right there. That's amazing. That's right. That's like a big interviewer. Like no,
is extremely ashamed of yourself right now.
Get the name right. Like goodness gracious, what a loser. Okay, but yeah, so very awesome. So we're gonna just start with some Star Wars. Well, it doesn't have to be Star Wars, but just to kind of get where you're at with everything that you watch and enjoy, kind of your media intake. What are some of your top 3 franchises?
Number 1 for sure, Star Wars. Anything and everything. Number 2, the MCU, of course. Love everything about it. And I don't know kinds of as a franchise, more of a trilogy, but the Dark Knight trilogy sticks with me to my bones, bro. Love every second of it.
Okay, so Dark Knight trilogy, is that just like nothing outside of the Dark Knight, just Dark Knight? You don't like any of the other DCU that you would put in there?
I feel like the Dark Knight was the epitome of a great Batman, like a Batman like trilogy. Like you get the greats and Bane and Joker and Scarecrow, and you get a great Batman and Christian Bale, bro.
Oh, I couldn't disagree. I mean, it is the best Batman story we've been getting. I know a lot of people absolutely adore the new Batman. I was not as impressed as everyone else was. I thought it was good. I would never say it wasn't good, and I thought it was a great movie. But all-time great Batman, I just was like, this is just a good Batman story. I do think the Dark Knight trilogy reigns supreme by far in that. What did you think of the latest Batman film?
I enjoyed it. I think he's a good Batman. Not so great as a Bruce Wayne because he's too teen grungy to me, like in the mechanic shop. But honestly, the best Bruce Wayne Batman to me is Michael Keaton. Okay. I love him, but the best trilogy of like the best movies to me is Dark Knight trilogy.
Okay, so the best movies total, that's Batman, the best trilogy.
Batman
trilogy. Batman. Okay, all right. You gotta be careful. You start throwing out stuff like that. Don't. So we're just for me, when we talk about like trilogies and greatest trilogies, I think Lord of the Rings.
Absolutely.
So Lord of the Rings falls below the Dark Knight trilogy.
No, Lord of the Rings, then Dark Knight. But honestly,
franchises, Dark Knight's better.
Let's talk about if we get a third Dune.
Oh,
bro.
Oh, we're in talks.
Shoo, that's gonna be top 3 for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Dune's potential.
Yeah, absolutely.
Knock Dark Knight
Dune's
off.
Great.
Easy. I actually was talking to my brother on the beach this weekend, and he was asked like if you had one movie to watch for the rest of your life, what would it be? And he actually said Dune 2 was his pick. Like that is the movie that he would watch. If he had no other movie to watch, he'd watch Dune 2. It's a hard one to argue against because
it's a great movie.
It has so much depth, so much action, so much drama, story, beautiful cinematics. It's everything you could ask for from a movie, unless you just love comedies and only comedies.
Yeah, but I mean, if I had to pick one movie, it's gonna be Hot Rod every time with Andy Samberg.
Dude, okay,
every time.
Okay. Hot Rod,
love to, dude. Hot Rod's my favorite movie of all time. That might make me super lame, but I grew up watching it, bro. Dude, I love it.
I don't think Hot Rod makes my top 10 comedies.
It's so great, bro.
I think it's a little too stupid.
Oh, that's my dude. Slapstick hit me with it every time.
Dude, I'm a big Brooklyn Nine-Nine fan.
Oh yeah,
but
Andy Samberg is my dude.
Okay, Hot Rod might be a little much.
Yeah, whatever, man.
Okay, well, the top 3 franchises. Yeah. So, what's your favorite Star Wars film? So it's your top unequivocal Star Wars franchise number 1. So your favorite film.
Honestly, the film that gives me, I love the original trilogy, and I'm one of the dudes that love the prequels because I grew up with them, and it's the nostalgia feel. But dude, Rogue One, I feel like embodies the Star Wars franchise. Just the characters, the worlds they give us, the story, I think was phenomenal.
Okay, and I think Rogue One is terrific. But I've heard a lot of complaints that Rogue One is a unnecessary movie for Star Wars and it shouldn't be included. What do you feel about that statement?
Bump those dudes, bro.
Bump them?
Bump those dudes.
What does bump mean?
Get rid of them. No, dude. Like when you think about it, like, did we have to know how they got the plans? No. But did the film show us the Temple on Jeddah and how they like Project Stardust, and Krennic was a dope bad guy, like typical. I don't know, man. I loved it.
Yeah, and Sam Whitaker's character in that show, I think, is what, and we'll get to this a little later, but I think that's how you show good guys as bad.
Oh yeah,
like that's the side that's like, okay, they're willing to do whatever for the rebels, and that's where you kind of cross the line. And they touched on that in Jedi Survivor, his character coming in there and really kind of what he was ready to do. Sam Whitaker, right? Forrest Whitaker.
Yeah,
sorry.
Saw Gerrera.
Yeah,
dude.
Yeah, Saw Gerrera.
Saw Gerrera is the epitome of a like guerrilla warfare. I'll win the war by killing everyone.
Yeah, and he just did not appreciate life on both sides.
No, didn't care.
And that's what you kind of have to do to be successful in those guerrilla type warfares. So I love Rogue One, and because I love Rogue One, Andor shines even brighter for me because we really get to see the behind the scenes.
Oh, absolutely.
So I kind of I didn't prep you for that we're going to talk about later, but we're going to get your Star Wars shows ranking after we talk about Acolyte, which I'm excited to get your opinions because I've been hearing Jacob's opinions. I've got a little bit of texting with you throughout the week, so I'm excited for that breakdown. But before we go with that, I want to know. So Star Wars is your favorite franchise.
Absolutely.
We got Rogue One is your favorite movie in that franchise.
Yep.
Who's your favorite character in that franchise?
Oh, dude, that's such a hard question. I love Clone Troopers, and I know Jacob's favorite is Rex. I grew up reading the now Legends books of like the Clone Troopers, like the Republic Commando books. Then it was the last one was like the Empire Commando or whatever.
Yeah.
I love Clone Troopers, bro. Give me any of them.
Any Clone Troopers?
Any of them, bro.
So love fives. Them.
Dude,
fives is your favorite?
Take them all. Sure. Who cares? No, but for real, I do love Rex so much, and I love just like the loyal, try to do what's right all the time. I love Ahsoka. This is a hard question, bro.
It is.
And I love, Luke in the Black and Return of the Jedi when he comes to Jabba's palace, bro. What a dope guy.
Yeah.
That's such a hard choice.
Man, I just think it's amazing that we got Luke's almost probably best moment in the last 5 years.
Oh, yeah. Dude,
in
rolling
Mando
up
season
to pick
2.
up Grogu. Holy, dude, when I saw the X-Wing, I was like, there's no way. That's going to be some random, New Republic pilot that's coming in to help. And, dude, when he came through those doors, I legitimately had tears in my eyes.
Dude.
Incredible.
Amazing.
Incredible.
But he's not your favorite.
Dude, you're killing me, bro. Dude, that's such a hard question because I love Star Wars. Oh, man. Okay, you know what? Favorite Star Wars character? You ready?
I'm ready.
Maul.
Darth Maul?
Every time. Not even Darth Maul. Let's talk about Rebels and Clone Wars. We're talking just Maul.
Just Maul.
He wasn't Darth anymore.
Okay.
Easy, bro.
They're throwing around that Darth.
Yeah. He wasn't a Sith
that
anymore.
title.
He hated the Sith, bro.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Maul's your favorite.
Maul, absolutely every time.
Okay. So
Then clones, any clone.
okay. So maybe one of the reasons that you love Maul so much is one of the experiences you were able to get with Sam
Witwer.
With Sam Witwer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
why don't you tell Peyton had a pretty amazing was it child announcement?
Oh,
child
yeah.
announcement?
So I met him at a con. Well, let's start off with, that was my first Star Wars film I saw in theaters. My dad brought me when I was 8 to see episode 1 in theaters. I remember walking the line to get in, and all these dudes dressed up as like Maul and Jedi, and it was the coolest. And like when the second blade on that lightsaber lit up, son, that place went berserk. Like, it was awesome. But no, I got to meet Sam Witwer, who voices Maul in Rebels and Clone Wars, at a con, and me and my wife were there, and she was like 3 months pregnant, but we hadn't like told the world yet, you know. But we had him hold a onesie, that it was like a Star Wars onesie, and that's what I posted to announce that we were pregnant, with Sam Witwer with both of us holding the onesie. So dope, dude.
Dude, absolutely incredible. Yeah. Man, that's one of the better pregnancy announcements I've ever heard.
Yeah.
You got to share that.
Yeah,
like, that's so good.
Super cool dude too.
Oh, he
so
just seems every interview I get with him.
Yeah.
Everything I hear him do, his love for the fans, for the projects themselves, it comes through with every being of his fiber, and I love
his
him.
knowledge of everything too. Like,
yeah, when he corrects Dave Filoni.
He's so smart.
Yeah,
so smart.
Yeah, they were trying to introduce. Anakin was talking to his mom and said, you know, you'd love Padme. I wish you could meet her. And Sam like spoke up and was like,
hold up, dog.
They had dinner together.
Yeah.
In episode 1. Like,
yeah,
what are you
absolutely.
doing? So I love that story because he does just encapsulate someone who just adores the program.
For sure.
Unfortunately, you know, I don't think we got that with the Acolyte. So me and Jacob have been talking about the Acolyte for the last 8 weeks?
Yeah,
I think 7 weeks.
8 blessed weeks
of Acolyte reviews, reactions to everything that's going on. And the season finale just aired, and this is sad because Jacob's not on here to air his side of it, because I've been very negative toward the show. I've criticized pretty much everything in it, but there are some redeeming qualities. The last episode, I think, was one of the better episodes in the series, but it did have just as much stupidity for me. It was rough, but before we get into that, and to kind of talk through the full show for you, what is your initial reaction? What's your show overview? How are you feeling about the Acolyte as a longtime Star Wars lover, a book reader of it, lore aficionado? What's your take on the Acolyte?
They got some stuff right. Some stuff. Give me those lightsaber fights every day. That brings me back to the prequels, bro. Like, they were incredible. And with Kelnaka being by himself because he had Mad Claw, because he scratched Torben, which Torben's scar, but Torben's face didn't show during the fight. But we're not going to talk about that. But okay. Mad Claw, you know.
Go ahead and expound on Mad Claw, because I don't know what that means.
So Mad Claw, when Wookiees aren't allowed to use their claws in fights. Right? They're super strong. They don't need their claws. But that's like a cultural thing where Wookiees don't use their claws in fights. But if they do, they call it Mad Claw. And then they kind of either get banished, go away, like spend the rest of their lives by themselves, pretty much. Yeah.
Okay. That's super interesting. And so you think that's why he was isolated, not because he was mind possessed and really upset about what he had done, but because the cultural impact of what Mad Claw had done to him Because I didn't see him scratch his face in the episode 5 or 7.
So if you look when in like what is it, episode 2 when Torben's or 2 or 3 when Torben's meditating, he has that nasty scar and his eye's a different color on that side.
But they didn't show that.
No, so that's one of my issues with the show. They do not do a good job with their storytelling at all.
I think it's pretty easy to make scars match up. I mean,
yeah, absolutely. If they would have had just like, there was some blood on his face where you could tell he got scratched, but it was nowhere near the scar he had in the second or third episode.
Yeah, because me and Jacob were talking about that. It was pretty good. We liked that we saw him smash that face against the rock or against the wall to kind of develop that scar, and that's what we talking about it would have said last week. So it's interesting that Mad Claws, did they come out and say that's what they were going for?
What's her name? Leslie, the director, came out and said it was because of Mad Claw.
Okay, that's super interesting that she would do that, but then not specifically show that in the fight. Like that's something like you don't tell, like you shouldn't have to tell in an interview afterward. Like what was she thinking?
That's we're gonna chalk that up to writing, my friend.
Yeah, and that's that is my single biggest issue with this show. Everything else can come, go, you can kind of overcome it, but I think the writing in the show has just been overall weak. All right, so you love the fighting. You love that they got some things right. You mentioned one thing, Claw. Did they get anything else right?
I feel like they got Chimera Kirmir strength level right. Because he is a Billy Bad A Sith in quotations, because he never came out and said it.
Well, he said he wanted the power too, which is a Sith.
Yeah, he wanted the power, but he was like, some Jedi would call me a Sith. And then you get you get Darth Plagueis, that little snippet, so obviously they are.
Obviously?
I mean, Plagueis, bro.
Yeah, but was he just watching from the caves and learning all this stuff secondhand?
Yeah, touche. They didn't
was
give
that
us
the
anything.
Master?
Yeah, they didn't give us
What
anything.
a stupid
dude,
moment.
what a way to like get my heart excited. Like, we're gonna get Plagueis, like give me something else in the episode to just trash. Nothing.
Garbage.
Same thing with Yoda. You're gonna reveal him like the Infinity Gauntlet at the end and then cut it.
Dude, we're going to get this. I think what Leslie had in mind was we were going to get a Plagueis Yoda second season, and then Yoda was going to get his mind wiped, kind of like May did. And that's why he doesn't know about the Sith in episode 1.
Dumb, bro. That's so dumb. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. That's dumber than the writing for the Acolyte, bro.
Hey, I was just trying to match their energy,
Golly.
But yeah, so I was pretty upset with the Plagueis reveal, because it did seem like, man, we really want to do this, but we don't want to risk messing this character up, because we really, this fan is beloved, or this character is beloved by the hardcore fans, and there's so much mystery to him. You really got to do him right. And I think she was intimidated to use him, but wanted to, and then told this story instead. You touched on Kimir's power. I think they did a decent job. It felt inconsistent. His character, the way he fought, the way he acted, seemed inconsistent to me as a character. I thought he was the best character in the entire show. But from that opening scene where he blasts all of the Jedi, was it 7 Jedi with one Force blast, 50 yards back, so much so that the entire episode they could just, fight them 1v2, because they were so far dispersed that, they all couldn't close down on him at once. That, we didn't have enough screen presence for them all to fight at one time. And then, you see him in the next episode not do anything, essentially. And then, you see the Cortosis. That's something I think they got right. That's awesome. That's a good introduction of a Legends material. Amazing. And then you ruin it. Mm-hmm. You absolutely ruin the fact that he has that helmet, because in the last episode against Soul, he didn't touch it. He's literally got the saber at his head. All he has to do to win that fight and kill him is touch his head forward, and he wins the fight against him. Like, it is such a simple moment. And he's just like, dude, I totally forgot about this. It's crazy. Like, what were they thinking?
Dude, when he's blasting Jedi's lightsabers with the gauntlet piece of Cortosis and then his helmet, I'm like, dude, that's so dope. Like,
It's amazing.
They brought it in and it's working well. And then that last fight against Soul, he didn't use the gauntlet or his helmet once, dude. Like, what in the heck kind of writing is that? You have, first of all, you have a lightsaber that breaks into a smaller piece, but then you have a helmet as a defensive piece to knock out the other dude's lightsaber. What in the world? Like, I don't get me wrong, I love the lightsaber scenes in this, but that was an insane misuse of that power.
Yeah. That in there lies the problem with introducing things, because now it has to be consistent.
Mm-hmm.
Now it has to be consistent. And when you don't do it, and so we talked about, me and Jacob, we were texting earlier, and he was like, man, you're being too hard on the show. And he was like, I think a lot of people, nostalgia, like, this is just as good as the prequels, and nostalgia is breaking. Now, he didn't say just as good, but he said, you know, it's good enough to be a good Star Wars show. I think his final rating was 7, and we're gonna have to come back to his opinion on this, but and I said, you know, the prequels did stuff wrong too, and you know, I think introduction of speed running with the Force was a bad introduction in Episode 1. I think that was terrible that they showed Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon run with the Force, because later in that movie they should have used it to get through force fields. They should have used it to get through other circumstances. That should have been something that was used throughout the entirety of Jedi, but it was used in that one moment. It was a mistake. And the difference is, you don't have a bunch of people running around and saying that wasn't a mistake. That was a mistake. That's bad writing. But everyone can look at Episode 1 and be like, yes, that's bad writing, but the story's really good. They did a lot of stuff, everything right. So even with this, like, we can get behind some of the introductions of stuff and be like, yeah, that wasn't a good thing to write, like, to introduce. But when there's no redeeming factors to the show, it becomes a lot harder to defend. And I think that's the issue a lot of Star Wars fans are having with the Acolyte, is there's so much behind okay, they probably shouldn't have introduced that, but there's nothing to redeem it after that. Do you feel around the same with that? What's your opinions on that?
Not as far, because you could inject force power straight into my veins. Like, straight up. Like, give me my weekly fix of force powers. Because, honestly, when you think about force powers like that, though, they're focusing on that one moment, right? So when they're fighting, you want to know why they're not using force speed and stuff?
Sure.
They're focused on
They never did
fighting.
it again. They never did it again.
Yeah, but where did they need it again?
I mean,
Can you tell me a specific moment in the prequels they needed force running?
When Obi-Wan needed to get through the force fields to get to Qui-Gon.
Yeah.
He was not focusing on fighting because he was alone, and everything he needed to do was get to Qui-Gon, which one force ability would have done that for speed.
Was he scared to?
I don't know.
He was still a Padawan at that time.
Doesn't matter. I'm just saying, that's an issue.
Okay.
That's an issue.
That's fair. It's fair. I'm just saying. Injected in my veins. But
wait. Let's just sit there for a second.
Yeah.
Injecting in veins, force healing by new people, force power. You good with that? I want the whole gambit. You good with that?
That's
force powers into your veins.
Prequel force powers into my veins. I want to see them jump very high and run super fast. I don't want to see you heal a hole in your chest with the force.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
All right. Yeah. Just wanted to make sure. Okay. Clarify that real quick. Okay.
Cool. Yeah. We're good.
All right. Back to Acolyte.
Yeah.
Some of the issues with the writing was injecting things that couldn't be backed by anything else. So were inconsistencies with the Acolyte. And some of that's even with, you know, the floating, the levitating, the flying. Like, why is Kamir the only person that can fly? Like, because I had an issue with that in Episode 5 that everyone adored. And they were like, oh man, it's amazing. The levitation down is so good. And then he uses it again in Episode 8.
Mm-hmm.
But like, he's the only person that's ever flown from the Force in live action.
And yeah, we're talking about live action because we all know
and animated
that early. Yeah, but And when you look at those big jumps, though, too, in the prequels, they're obviously, like, if you read the books, they're bracing their falls with the Force, right?
Correct.
They're giving them a little push. And you look at Dooku, who's floated in animation.
2D animated Clone
Correct.
Wars, which isn't canon.
All right. Well, neither was Cortosis until we just brought it back.
I know. I'm just saying. Like,
I don't.
It's another
hate it.
inconsistency. And when it's set in the future, in the same, and you put it, I mean, in the past.
Yeah.
Everything that happens after this has to line up.
Not necessarily, because you got to think of the training back then too. The training was dope, hence why the lightsaber fights are so much better.
You think they're so much better?
The lightsaber fights and now in the prequels when the Jedi are at
in the
they're
prequels, I
hyped.
agree. Yeah.
So the lightsaber fights are dope. Hence, we obviously have better training then, correct?
Correct. I would agree with that.
So we have these abilities that not every Jedi/Sith can have in the future.
Okay. So that's a good argument. I like that. But I do think more people would kind of focus on that. It seems like a pretty amazing thing.
Oh, it's a dope power, dude. To be able to just like, float down, bro. I got goosebumps.
Float up. He flew up that elevator shaft. She said, "We gotta get this elevator shaft. It's the only way up." And he said, "Is it?" And then he disappeared. That's because he flew up the wall. Like that's what they were saying. They were saying that dude flew up that wall.
Dude. I don't know. Dude, did he? I didn't see it. But number 3. Let's keep moving. I feel like watching him come down though gave me goosies. Goosies.
Okay.
Like I love the mask.
Yeah, the mask is dope.
That was probably one of the most menacing introductions to a Star Wars villain I've ever seen. Besides, like, honestly, I think it was one of the most menacing Star Wars villains, like, reveals. Him and Maul, honestly.
Yeah, and a lot of people say it's very reminiscent of Aboleth.
Yeah.
Do you think anything about that?
I mean, I think Aboleth is dope. I feel like they should use her in Ahsoka.
Yeah.
Which the new casting call says they're casting someone that looks exactly like Aboleth.
Okay.
So here's hoping that we get like the mother, father, son, dude.
It's got to be done right, though.
We're off on a tangent, but that would be dope.
Well, we're all over the place. We don't have Jacob to keep us straight.
Yeah, sorry, Jacob. We need you here, buddy.
Yeah. Jacob's my better runner. So we're all over the place, but I love it because, man. So you talked on the lightsaber fights, and you said, give me those lightsaber fights every day.
Mm-hmm.
And I always said, if this is the lightsaber fights we get in Star Wars, they're significantly better than what we've got from Disney so far, with the asterisk, other than Luke Skywalker and Mando Season 2 finale. That's the best one we've seen so far. It was better than anything in Acolyte, in my opinion. It was better.
But I feel like also that's because he's had time to train.
I agree, but I'm just saying.
Yeah. No, it was great.
We should, and some of that's just framing. I feel like she didn't understand how to frame a fight properly, and it's a rookie director. She just didn't understand how to put it on the screen. And then we talked about the kind of like the wire work, crouching dragon, hidden tiger kind of fighting style.
Backwards, yeah, that works.
Yeah, well, you know, it's in there. Yeah. But I kind of understand what she wanted to do with that because she felt like that's forcey. She felt like that gives a force feel. That's kind of how they would fight, but she didn't commit to it. Like Episode 5 had a different fight style than Episode 7, which had a different fight style from Episode 8, and it just like Episode 8 did not. With his fight with Soul, I felt like he should have used a Scortosis mask. I felt like if we're going to get some of that kick and stuff and kind of line work, like when he fell off the bridge, like you should commit to that fight style throughout the entire fight. I feel like it's weird to inject like a 5-second clip of it in a 3-minute fight. I feel like that's bad fight consistency. And that's what my entire problem with this show is consistency. And I feel like that even shined in their fighting. So you said they're dope. You love the fights. How do you feel about that?
So I feel like you can't fight the same in every environment.
I agree. Yeah, you gotta adapt.
Dense jungle. I feel like that's. I hate they didn't use his mask in the last fight. but I think he used it more because you're fighting 6 or 7 Jedi at a time. Dense jungle, you can't jump around like that in a dense jungle. You're hitting limbs, while you're trying to focus on 6 lightsabers coming at you. Now you're focused on the limbs around you too.
Yeah.
So I feel like you can't crouching tiger, hidden dragon in a jungle like you can in an open space like they did when they went back to the witch temple.
Okay. That's fair. I just think even in that witch temple fight, like if you want to commit to that style, it should be more than just that moment. And we see that with Saul and Kamir, and I think that's a decent fight, but I just don't think it's great. Like I don't think that's enough to save the show. And some people are saying that the fights are enough to save the show. I think it's too small screen in episode 5. I think the other fights that we got were inconsistent, were fine. We get to see the Torben fight with Kalnaka. I felt like that was fine, that was good, but it wasn't anything super special. And then in this one, we get another fine fight. I felt like it was good. I was happy to watch it, but it wasn't like, man, I'm watching something really special unfold right now.
So I honestly thoroughly enjoyed all the fights. I feel like Kalnaka fought like a Wookiee. He's not elegant. He's strong as junk.
Yeah.
And he's power swiping, and I feel like technically it wasn't him fighting. I think she was just using his strengths because he was kind of possessed at the time.
Yeah, for sure.
And I feel I enjoyed. All right, best fight of the series was obviously the jungle to me.
Okay.
I just to be able to fight 7 Jedi at one time, you're a talented dude, right?
Very cool.
I feel like the last fight was the worst, but I still enjoyed it because I feel like Saul can hold his own in a fight. He's good.
Yeah.
But I think Chimera is just dope. Like my assessment of Chimera is he could have easily overpowered Saul.
Yeah, I think his power level was similar to that. I love Soul turning his saber off. I thought that was a very intriguing. He did that against Kalnaka.
Mm-hmm.
He did that against Kamir, and he really fought unique. And that's one thing that was consistent. I did like that he continually used everything at his disposal. He didn't rely on his saber as much as most Jedi do. He was willing to turn that off, and I enjoyed that. I thought that was a good point.
Which in the High Republic, the Jedi, your saber's your last thing you use. Like you're not supposed to just like bring it out and use it all the time. You're supposed to be able to take situations and bring them down with words and the Force first.
Okay.
I mean, honestly, let's think of the Jedi right now. They're the galaxy police.
Yeah, absolutely.
So they're just like the police now. You're not drawing a weapon at a traffic stop. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I've seen some traffic.
Okay.
I've seen some videos.
Okay, let's not get into that.
You're
not supposed to, right? So we're not. Golly, you're not supposed to. So my thought process, and that's taught if you read the books, and it's taught that their saber is that's the last thing you're going to do.
And May touched on that earlier in the episode. A Jedi doesn't pull their saber unless they're really ready to kill.
Right.
So, but let's go ahead and get off of some of the fighting, some of Saul, some of Kamir, because that's honestly some of our best stuff.
Yeah.
How did you feel with the Osha and May wrap up? How do you feel like their story went?
I think it was garbage. I think the mind wipe thing is garbage. I think, honestly, I might get hate for it, but I think the acting is crap. I think so. The same girl that plays Osha and May plays Rue in Hunger Games, right? You want to know why she was so great in Hunger Games?
She didn't talk.
She didn't speak. Great actor with her face. Great actor with her movements. Actress with her movements. She can't come across verbally to me. She has such a flat effect when she speaks. And I know she was trying to do that with May, but she did it with Osha too.
Yeah. What's funny is I think I may have said this in the last one, but I think she does a better job acting as Osha than she does as May.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because when she's May, she's trying to be flat. She's trying to be pointed to when she speaks, but it follows over to Osha too much for me. It's not different enough. You look at Lindsay Lohan when she played the two characters at one time, right? In Parent Trap, whatever. and you could tell they were two vastly different people.
Yeah.
Great
they had
acting
to work
job.
to get to the same person.
Great acting job. Not the same with this.
So the take we're getting from Peyton here is that Lindsay Lohan should have been cast as OSHA.
Negative.
But I did not like it at all. I thought it was interesting, even their fight when they came and fought, and they're using the exact same moves and mirrors, like kind of to be twins. Well, that's stupid. They were raised different. She was trained as a Jedi. She was trained as a Sith. They would not have had the same fight style to go move for move. That's something you develop under training, not something you were born with. So I thought that was bad. I also did not like the mind wipe. I thought that was stupid. My personal opinions on it is that she should have killed May. If OSHA killed May, I felt like that would. And let's just go ahead and talk about the saber bleeding. Like, Soul can open his freaking mouth and defend himself once in a while. The woman was turning into a ghost force that was going to dissolve her daughter. Like, open your freaking mouth and defend yourself. Like, you did not kill that woman. She force witched right on your back. You're a Jedi. Like, you gotta protect yourself. Like, what are you supposed to do? You don't know what that woman's doing. She could have just walked over to her daughter. She didn't need to dissolve her into the force. Dude, that whole thing, garbage. And I think just May switching from her 16-year journey with Soul in an instant and hating him enough to turn that Kyber crystal, garbage. Terrible writing, not understanding characters, not understanding character development, nothing. Garbage.
So, a couple things. It killed me that Soul felt so bad when he was in danger and defended himself. When he just said, I'm sorry. Like, when they were trying to get him to, like, confess at the end, and he was like, I'm sorry, I killed her. No, dude, you defended yourself protecting two young girls. That's what you did.
Yeah.
Why are we feeling bad about it?
To a witch cult.
Number two, bleeding a crystal takes more than just being so angry and hated. So the new Jedi Survivor game is canon,
yep.
Right? Dagon Gera, the bad guy from the High Republic, right? In a bacta tank for hundreds, thousands of years, whatever it was, bled a crystal in about 2 minutes. But also, highly trained dude, right? Jedi Knight in the High Republic. Knew what he was doing.
Super concentrating on. He was trying to bleed that crystal.
He was speaking at the same time, but you could tell intricately he was focusing on it, right? We don't, in a girl who left the Jedi Order, did not finish her training, bleed a crystal in the blink of an eye.
Accidentally.
Yeah.
No clue what she's doing.
Lightsabers aren't moon rings, bro.
Dude, that was crazy.
Sorry.
I'm going to be honest. It looked amazing. It looked so cool.
If it would have been like in a concentrating moment where it bled and the blade color changed as we're concentrating and like you could feel the hatred in the moment, I would have loved every second of that.
Yeah, but that comes into the consistency.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anakin slaughtered hundreds of Tusken Raiders, women, children, men, slaughtered them like animals. Dark side moment. His saber was not red. He murdered hundreds of Jedi children, younglings, Master Skywalker, with Sith eyes, by the way. He's full Sith. And fighting his master with intent to kill after his master betrayed him more than Soul would have ever betrayed OSHA. No red lightsaber. Now, I did ask Jacob about this. He said, well, it symbolizes the struggle inside of Anakin. I disagree. I don't think at that moment there's a single struggle of Anakin. I think that if you're willing to kill younglings, you're dark side. And if this is the path forward they want to do with Force crystals, I feel like that should have been something consistent. I don't think OSHA is trained enough. I don't think she is strong enough. And I don't think her motivations were good enough to warrant that level of canon shift.
So episode 2, I could see a struggle.
For sure.
So his mom just died in his arms. Angry. Just, I could see the pure hatred of wanting to kill everyone in that village. But
wait. So you're saying you can see the anger from the death of a mother causing this?
no, I'm not saying like if my mom dies, I'm gonna kill a whole village.
No. I'm just saying this is exactly what Osha did, except she had 16 years to sit with it.
But here's the thing: in episode 2, he was still struggling, right?
Okay.
Mom dies, he's angry, and he tells Padme, "I hate them." Right? Hatred leads to what?
The dark side.
The dark side. Episode 3 now, it's gone.
That dude gone.
There's no more. When your eyes turn, boy, you dark. It's over. There's no more light side. And don't get me wrong, in the original trilogy, when he sees Luke, his son, I think it brings back that struggle.
Yeah.
But between episode 3 and episode 4, if source material murders a lot of people.
Yeah, he's the baddest dude on the galaxy.
I feel like when he's killing younglings, when he's fighting Obi-Wan, because in the comics he bleeds a crystal, right, to get his lightsaber, and he focuses on it,
and he fails.
He fails, yeah. So I feel like it would have turned before that.
Yeah, and it's just the consistency, right? I'm okay with that kind of stuff. I'm okay with it. But when you have such a beloved franchise that has established rules, established protocols for this kind of thing, it does lead to like, why are you introducing this? Except for that woman thought this would look cool. Like Leslie Headland literally said, "This will look cool. I want to do this," and they said, "Okay." That like didn't care about like they didn't have Sam there to be like, whoa. We're gonna have some issues. What about this and what about that? No, they didn't, and that's one of my problems. I'm gonna get some flack for this. I'm losing faith in Dave Filoni because I think Mandalorian season 3 went down when Jon Favreau stepped aside as creative director in season 3, and it just seems like if he signed off on this, which they say he did, it seems like he's not caring as much for consistent storytelling. And even George got onto him in the Clone Wars and saying, "Stop it, like you don't have the audience in your home to explain what you're trying to say. You need to show it on the screen." And so he even talks about George corrected him a few times in that and saying, "Hey, he really was helping me," but I think he's missing it. I think once again he's like, "Okay, I can explain this afterwards," and he's not doing a good job of putting it on screen. I think he's signing off on people that struggled the way he did and not correcting it the way George corrected him.
I feel that. I feel like Star Wars is a hard project. Look at the flack J.J. Abrams has got. Look at the flack Rian Johnson's gotten, right? Star Wars is a hard project, and it has dedicated fans who know their stuff, right? I love Filoni. I don't feel as harshly as you do about it. I feel like almost they're using it as an excuse. Like, oh, Filoni signed off. It's great. We're good, right?
Yeah.
I feel like that's just being said because I feel like that's just being said because she did such a bad job.
Yeah. And trust me, I'm not anti-Filoni by any stretch. I'm just saying my unwavering faith in Filoni is gone, right? I do now have to be like, okay, like when I heard his name was attached to a project before this, I got excited. Now it's like, I still have trust in him. I still think he's going to do fine. Now it's like, okay, like I hope he dials it back and is really kind of is careful with what he does going forward. So don't get me wrong. I'm not just hating on Filoni. But I do think there needs to be some responsibility from all parties who signed off on a project like this.
If they told me tomorrow that they're doing an Acolyte season 2 and Filoni's directing it, I'd be like, cool, let's do it. I'm still headstrong with Filoni. Like, let's go forward with him all the way. Him and Favreau, like, give him the keys. Just because I think they're using it as an excuse for Leslie Headland.
And that's fine. If they said Filoni was creating, writing, directing, and producing Acolyte season 2 to put it back on the right track, like I also would be like, okay, maybe he can save this. I would, but I do like you can't just drag his name through the mud and say that he signed off on garbage,
Right?
Because this to me was, and some people say the rating it's getting, which is a 3.8 right now on IMDb, is overhated. I don't think so. I think this is about, if this wasn't Star Wars, I don't think anyone would be watching this.
I agree. I know you probably want to wait on Jacob. Do you want to give it a rating?
Oh, I'll go ahead and give my rating. I'll set where my rating is. I don't want to just hate on this show, but I know a lot of people have been saying the people who hate this show are just, unjustly hating it because of certain other reasons. And it's just not true. Like there are some very big issues. If you love media intake, you've watched shows your whole life, you watched reviews, you've talked to directors, you've talked to creators, you've listened to interviews with, the greats of our time, like Tarantino, and how he tells a story and how he wants, and he's so very important with each and every, even Spielberg, and what they do to storytell. And if that's kind of what you love, and it's something I do love all of that. When you sit down and watch a project like this, it's hard. It's hard to accept it just because it's from a franchise that you love. And I do love Star Wars. So my current rating sits, I give it a 4. And a lot of that is, my rating system comes from 7 is I really, really enjoyed it. Good acting, good story, just wouldn't really watch it again. 8 is I loved it. I would seek it out to watch it again. 6 is I enjoyed it, but, if it was on, I may or may not turn it off. 5 is there was something wrong. Acting was rough. Story was rough. Didn't really enjoy it. 4 was story's rough. Acting's rough. Just not a good show. And that's this. There were some good moments. There were some cool things shown. There was some bad moments as far as even like visuals. I thought there was some really bad visuals for an $180 million budget. There was some speeders that looked terrible. There were some ships that looked awful. There was some scenes that were framed absolutely just, ugh. How flat can you make a show look? Kind of what I'm visualizing. Then the acting. Everyone in the show except for Kamir is bad, in my opinion. They did a bad job with their character. I think that lies on the director, because it's the director's job to direct how the actors, to get the most out of the actors, and I think she got nothing out of anyone. And then the story, I think, is bad. A murder mystery that was solved in the first episode is not a great murder mystery. They didn't tell one story, they told 3, and they didn't know how to tell one. And they took a project and told it from the wrong point of view. They should have told it from the Sith. They didn't show it from the Sith, they showed it from the Jedi. And I think this is worthy of a 4. I may go up to a 5 eventually, with enough time passing. But with how I'm sitting now and how I feel like they treated one of my beloved IPs, I gotta go 4. And I hate to put it that low. I hate to put a project that low, because, especially in one of these things, but I cannot justify a 5. I don't think it has enough redeeming qualities.
Coming from someone who loves Star Wars, and we haven't even talked about conniving Master Venestra or whatever her name is.
Oh,
dude.
Oh.
Yeah. Trash. Like trash. But I'm gonna give you 2 different ratings, and it doesn't save the show for me. So anything under a 5 for Star Wars, I'll probably never watch it again. Right? The fights, 7 out of 10 for me. 8 out of 10 for me. Just the battles. Because they were dope. Choreography was great. Full show, 4 out of 10. just because the writing was so bad. The Infinity Gauntlet Yoda giving me Plagueis and then pooping out on him. I'm never going to watch season 1 of The Acolyte again. Never.
Yeah. And maybe even talking through it and analyzing it the way you do when you do a podcast like this makes it tougher for me because I am more critical of everything I watch now because I'm thinking about the story beats, I'm thinking about other things. But it is hard, and I think the fights were good. Like I said, there's good moments in this show. But overall, if this wasn't Star Wars, I wouldn't have finished it.
I agree.
So that's where we sit with Acolyte. Well, there is a bunch of other stuff that we didn't talk about, but we just don't have enough time really to go through the entire show in one episode. But I think we got a lot of good thoughts and we got a lot of good opinions on it. But before we let you go, Peyton, it's been such a pleasure getting to talk to you about this. I kind of want to get a ranking of your live action Star Wars shows.
Oh.
So we're just talking about live action Star Wars shows. So that's Acolyte, Ahsoka, Andor, Obi-Wan, Book of Boba Fett, and The Mandalorian. We're not going to touch a lot on them, but kind of break down your list right now.
First of all, I've enjoyed every second of this. It was so much fun. And let's talk about my list. So I'm going to start with my last, which is obviously The Acolyte. Put it in the dumpster. We're going to light it on fire, right?
Oof.
Second to last, that's rough, bro. I'll probably, honestly, there's not many shows, and this is really hard to do. I'm going to go Obi-Wan Kenobi. I liked it a lot. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I love Ewan McGregor. I love Obi-Wan Kenobi.
But the destruction of one of the best characters into Star Wars.
And I wouldn't even go as far as you would say destruction of him. I feel like a lot of it was iffy, but it didn't make me love Obi-Wan any less.
It didn't make me love Obi-Wan any less. It did make me really dislike the writers because I felt like they didn't write my Obi-Wan.
Yeah, I mean, but everyone's Obi-Wan can be different.
Well, it couldn't have been until that moment. I mean,
don't get me wrong.
That's crazy.
I looked forward to every week with Obi-Wan to watch it. Not like Acolyte saying, "Gosh, I have to finish this." Right? And honestly, we're gonna do Book of Boba Fett next.
Okay, Book of Boba Fett.
Love Boba Fett, and honestly, Boba Fett ranks up there because I love Mandos, and in those books that I love, the Republic Mandos, they were trained by Mandos. Right?
Yeah,
I love it. Love it. Love the language. Love everything about it. All right, we're gonna hit Andor next, number 2. Hot take. Sorry about it.
You got 3 left.
3 left. Oh, Ahsoka. Yeah, you know what? Still, I'm gonna go
Andor number 3.
Number 3.
Whoa.
I'm not so. I loved it. Great show.
Okay.
There were times, I'm not gonna lie, it was late and I fell asleep.
Okay, that's fair.
I was like, this isn't keeping my attention.
Okay.
How it opened up was awesome. And how it ended was awesome. A lot of the middle part, I kind of got a little bit lost.
It's fair.
But I did like it. Good story.
So we were learning lightsabers, and lightsabers have to keep Peyton awake.
No, that's not true.
I'm just
that's why I love Rogue One so much, dude.
I'm just messing.
There's not a lightsaber used until the very end, right? Yeah. No one gets cut in half till the end.
Yeah.
So, but blasters stuff, dope.
Okay, so Andor number 3.
2's Ahsoka.
2's Ahsoka.
Love Ahsoka. Ahsoka Tano's my girl, dog. Love the flashback scenes with Anakin, and the Clone Wars with Rex, and the swip swaps of him and Vader.
Good fan service.
Great fan service. And to look out and see the finger pointing, we're hopefully getting the Force gods.
Oh, yeah.
Dope.
Yeah, I'm very excited for that.
Dude, Gods and Mortis episodes in Clone Wars arc, loved it.
Super interesting.
Awesome. Number 1's Mando every time.
Every time.
Again, love Mandalorian culture. It's awesome. I love old Mandalorian culture when they were a warring nation, fought the Jedi, just tough dudes, right?
Yeah. Tough dudes.
And to get this tough dude nurturing a baby, love to see it every time.
Yeah. No, I think that's a very good list. Mine will differ. I'm going to save mine for when Jacob, because I do want to
Good call.
retouch with Jacob. I want to make sure that he gets his moment to give his acolyte. So we'll do that with our list. I'm going to save mine. It does differ from yours quite drastically, but man, what an amazing time it's been. Good time, because honestly, whenever you can watch a show that's a 4 and still just enjoy talking about it so much, it really does kind of lend itself to the quality of the IP, the quality of the franchise that's been put before it, and the fan service, the fan base that it's built up around it. It's really what an awesome time when you can really get something that you even love, but you still get so much to talk about. And I think that's awesome. That's one of the best thing about Star Wars. It's just the conversations, the talking about it, and that's my favorite thing about all things movies, shows related is, hey, you get to talk about it with your friends, your family, bring you closer, and just give you something to talk about. So before we let you go, I do want to give a shout out. We had some merch made for ourselves from LMB Embroidery. The link to her shop will be in the description today. If you want to pick up a Weekly Fix hat, a Weekly Fix shirt, go over to the Instagram. We shared that on our story. And then also on our Twitter, we have a post about it. You can see what you can pick up from her shop. She's amazing. And big shout out to Lindsay. She did a great job with that. Like I just said, with our Instas and our X, go follow us on those pages. Join the Discord, get the conversation started. We'd love to have your comments, your reviews, your opinions. But with that, it's Weekly Fix signing off.